Hello and welcome everyone to another conversation of the SHRPA Success Navigator Leadership Interview Series. Today we are joined by Joseph Fernandes, SVP HR South Asia Mastercard. And our conversation today is going to really look at how HR can really develop its own effectiveness in 2025, based on some of the findings of the SHRPA research study, the global research study that People Matters published last year. So it's great to have you with us, Joseph, for this conversation.
Thank, Thanks, Dhruv. Thanks for the opportunity, and a big thanks to People Matters as well. I went through the report, and I must acknowledge that the outcome of your survey, or the overall findings, is so much relevant to some of the challenges or some of the opportunities areas that most of the HR fraternity is trying to tackle. So, thanks for that report.
Great, thank you for that, Joseph. And so, for an audience out there, we our conversation today is really going to look at how HR can scale its own effectiveness, and we'll look at its own skilling, its own capabilities journey. But before we dive into that area, Joseph, what the research study did was it looked at what is the business demand from its workforce today, and it looked at skills, agility, and digital readiness being as the three key demands from the business in terms of what the workforce really needs to deliver at. How are you at Mastercard responding to this need? And what do you think are some key talent initiatives that can be implemented today to, ensure that the workforce is agile and is digitally ready?
Sure, sure. Uh, you know, I think some of the key things, the three things that you mentioned, right? Skills, agility, and the last thing that you mentioned was around, how digitally prepared the typical
Yeah,
workforce is. But uh, I think we should always take a step back and probably try to gauge and understand that why are these CXOs giving this requirement at this point in time. It's when you carefully evaluate most of the businesses, whether it is banks or organizations which are into hospitality or logistics or a payment networks like us, right?
yeah,
A lot of organizations do claim that, they say, you know we just happen to be a bank, but at the end of the day we are a technology organization. it is
right,
it is just that how advanced you are from a technology perspective gives you an edge, and that gives you an amazing customer experience. So
right,
whilst you're trying at one area that you're trying to build your technology transformation and advancement, it is very important that you also build your talent in-house. That is, the talent is absolutely skilled, absolutely agile, and are able to work in this digital era. And if you see both the needs that are actually coincide or replicate with each other. So I'll give some of the examples from a talent perspective that what Mastercard does. Okay, and maybe I'll share just one or two in the interest of
perfect.
time. So we've built. Let me give you our learnings. Our learnings have come from a consumer industry. When I say a consumer industry, let's say when all of us very closely associate to a particular brand. For example,
Right,
if you are buying a shoe or a bag, most of us invariably do associate with a brand which suits our personality, which suits our overall outfit or the work that we do. And we have to give credit to the consumer industry, because though they make millions of products, but how closely they have created products which gives that personal in terms of I'm able to
mm,
associate with that. The same learnings have been picked up by a lot of, for example, social media. Let's look at Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and now X. You know, the people that we follow, the things that we want to follow in any of the social media or try to get an experience invariably are created very personalized. So the point that I'm making is, I think gone are the days wherein we would make talent related initiatives which create with an intent which are very generic and with an understanding that one size fits for all. I think
right,
if you look at the employee demographics today, we have a considerable population of our workforce that spends a lot of time in social media. So we picked
right,
up a learning from that. uh, we created an AI based platform called as Unlock. Now, Unlock
Right.
is amazing, wherein all employees need to capture their skill sets that they have, the opportunities, areas, the skills that they need to learn. Uh, we put in terms of our need, in terms of what the future of talent that we should be having, and what it does once you have given your requisite information, it assigns you to a mentor who will be an SMA
Right.
in your opportunity area. It's completely AI based. The marriage is built through a lot of algorithm and in terms of permutation combination. Who's the best mentor for you? The tool or the platform also allows you to learn new skills or real time projects. For example, you might be doing engineering, but you need to understand about products, which will help you to be a better engineer. So the
Right.
tool allows you to work for 4 to 5 hours a week into new areas where you have never worked before, never been exposed before. So today we have engineers working in sales, we have QE experts working into products. We have a lot of people who've gradually transformed into something called as a full stack or a T-step developers. So the point I'm
Yeah.
trying to make is is as an organization to build that talent pool that you're looking for. Your job, you need to focus in creating a platform that allows people to take full control of your own learning. For example, we have Unlock. We have tie-up with amazing great B schools, starting from Harvard to London School of Economics to the tier one B schools in India. We have a
Right.
digital academies wherein people can learn anytime, anywhere that they want. We have a Mastercard labs wherein it gives an opportunity for people to interact with SMEs, what to understand what's the future footprint of the technology strategy that we are doing. So
Right.
our job is to create that platform, but we need to create with an intent that our employees are fully in control so that they
Right.
develop the requisite skill sets. With that, you are able to build the requisite talent that you are looking for. That would be
Right.
my long story in terms of addressing this critical need.
No, I love how, I mean, your approach to sort of solving this issue is to really look at how HR can enable it in its workforce through creating these platforms, in having a learning aspect to it, having a collaborative, innovative aspect to it, the way you share the masterclass lab example. So I think there are a lot of components that HR can really deliver.
And absolutely, because I personally believe it's never a quality of a talent issue. Talent
Right.
is more or less always good. This is what I personally believe.
Right.
It is just the what you do with the talent is more important than the quality of talent. By just
Right.
getting great talent, you may not get all the solutions. As an organization or a leader, your job is to create that framework or an opportunity or give those resources to the talent pool wherein they can do their best.
Right, right, right. This unlocking, the potential of talent, and that aspect brings me to my next question, where we saw in the report newer technologies, and you did allude to how you were using AI. So perhaps we can have some examples there as well. We found out raising productivity through AI and executing a digital transformation journey still remains a major challenge, especially in India, but also in other markets like Southeast Asia and Middle East. Why do you see HR leaders still being dissatisfied with their ability to, leverage these technologies? And how do you see change management, become an important aspect of how HR leaders address this problem moving ahead in 2025?
Okay. I think great question again, and this is a complex problem to solve. I think some of two aspects that you mentioned is one, not being satisfied from the overall productivity,
Yeah.
and second is what do we do with this analytics and data that we have. Again, I would say let's take a step behind. When is that we as an organization would or as leaders would experience challenges related to productivity?
Right.
Well, an initial knee-jerk reaction, productivity challenges happens when there are lack of resources, lack of training, lack of hand to gloves type of candidates that or the skills that you may need, and several other things. But when does these issues come up? This only come up or rather more evident, is when there is a transformation that has happened. Okay.
Right.
So every time there is a transformation, the first segment that catches up quickly with the transformation is always the business.
Right.
After business, it is the technology. And like it or no, people are the last to catch up with those transformation, right? That's how any change has been ideally been experienced by a lot of major transformation that we have seen. For example, say uh, you are you completely transform with legacy technology to something which is futuristic or latest. Business moves first, technology catches up later, and it's finally people are the last to catch up with that particular change. I think we need to first accept and have our thinking in clear that these are some of the challenges we will face from a productivity perspective. Once you're clear and the rationale is clear, then you're able to build narrative that what you can do to address productivity related challenges. Now, let me narrow down the scope and let's talk about HR and how HR can influence productivity and the changes that we are doing. I would say is in your journey towards managing productivity, you should be very clear in your strategy, in your communication strategy. For example, how AI should be viewed, right?
Right.
Okay. Uh, it would be very vague and incomplete if we say we're going to move towards AI and we're going to take all the decision that comes from data, because this builds a lot of apprehension with people saying, what will this transformation lead to? Will this impact my job? Will this impact what I'm doing? Will I need to learn something which I have never learned? So your first job as a leader in this transformation whilst managing productivity will be that you need to address the anxiety of your
Right.
workforce that we will come. So have a very robust and clear outcome-based communication saying how is this going to impact? How is that it will give you an opportunity to learn something new? How that intervention what we are doing is going to keep you relevant over a period of time? How is that typically your lower end work that you're doing today, it will be automated and you will be able to do complex and newer skill sets. I think that particular aspect, if you are able to manage the communication, that is step one in terms of managing this change. As much as possible, use success stories. Like I'll give an inside experience. Mastercard India, we have the largest AI garage that operates out of India. So when we were going through this transformation, and before we were setting up the shop and transitioning people into these roles, we brought in the transparency and clarity as to how using AI and machine learning is going to help us proactively identify or detect any frauds that will happen during a particular transaction. How is that data science and analytics team are leveraging tons of data, which is going to improve the payments effectively or efficiently without any issues. So these are just, and I can go on with giving a lot of examples, but I think first come first is your communication has to be absolutely clear with that. Now,
Right.
when I narrow down the scope from furthermore and try to look at only HR. So
Yeah.
your organization, for example, can be from a customer experience point of view, will be giving you absolutely fantastic technology. Will be leveraging the latest tools which can be around AI, AR, and ML. But HR also has to scale up and give
Yeah.
that internal employee digital experience in line with that what we are developing for our customers. So I think that particular aspect also has to be taken. At Mastercard, we invested a lot in terms of our entire HR technology, whether it is in terms of talent acquisition, starting from screening to scheduling, how technology plays comes into picture, how the technology has actually helped us, our talent acquisition team, in identifying the right candidate and selecting the right candidate and having a seamless process and overall candidate experience to the hiring manager experience. End to end, your employee life cycle has to be also designed in line with your technical capability.
Right. Right. You shared this point, and it was also echoed in your earlier answer, Joseph, where transferring the knowledge that consumer facing departments in business has to how you design for employees. So in the entire AI journey, or even the analytics and digital transformation journey, what have been some lessons that you can share that you borrowed from the consumer facing aspect to designing programs and designing initiatives from for employees from an experience standpoint?
So great question. So let me, give an example like how we were been typically trained. Like I've been working for almost 20 years now. The
Sure.
typical learning was around it can be 1 day, 2 day, or 4 day training programs. And I would go and we would send our employees as well through this training program. Now, when you look, there is the ask from the current employee population that is mostly millennials and Gen Zs is I need to be in control of my learning. I need to learn anytime, anywhere that I want, and I'm very specific in terms of what I need to learn, and I need a quick solution to that. Okay, now, maybe the traditional way of working may not be the right solution. So we have built our overall skill development or developing people capability in line with those learning. So today we have amazing technology. For example, the Mastercard lab. I have a query. I need to interact with a enterprise architect, for example. I need to know where it is and how can I get a quicker, faster solution. So we have a platform where employees can put their request and get a solution to that. I'm the other aspect is my I don't probably want to go through an 8 hours of program or through many hours of certification to learn something. My need is very shortened. So our academy, sorry, which is digital by nature, we have created a smaller capsules of learning. Entire curriculum is designed into smaller capsules, which allows you to pick up what is your exact learning need and get that faster solution to this. So it's completely built on one aspect, that it is personalized, and it gives you instant solution what you're looking for, which is absolutely in line with the new generation that we are engaging with.
Right, right. Thank you for those examples, Joseph. You touched upon the aspect of HR's own skill, and even the Sherpa report found somewhere around 58 to 57 to 58% of HR leaders are going to prioritize, improving their functional effectiveness and technology skills in the coming 12 months. If you had to look at your own journey, what are some areas that you are focusing within to sort of build, the capabilities and effectiveness of your HR function? And as you look at, the India market and South Asia market, what are some suggestions in terms of what areas should HR leaders be looking at to ensure they're able to execute in 2025?
Okay, so maybe I'll. I think both my response is same. I will
Sure.
I will typically say where I am focusing should ideally that would also be my recommendation, because I think more or less all of us are in the same juncture and trying to tackle the future challenges that we may have. I will bifurcate your my response into two segments. One is technology and one is
Right,
HR. So
right,
my advice would be is from a technology perspective, is that we all need to aggressively elevate digital literacy, right?
right,
Because more or less, you know, all organizations typically survive predominantly on the technology advancement that they have, right? So it's very important to elevate your digital literacy. Second is focus on your end-to-end employee digital experience, right? Just just think through, we are now engaging with a generation that, they are so much digitally savvy, right? Their ability to navigate in a technological environment is way high relative to the previous generations that we were engaging. So your second input will be is that you got to elevate the employee digital experience. Then I would say is as much as possible have database decisions that you're doing, data driven decisions, sorry. So it's good to have your own perception, it's good to have your own instinct as well, but when it comes to complex decision, when it comes to getting into new segments, new market, or even where you have been, where you've spent considerable time in past, wherein you know that what probably worked in past may not work in future. So in situation like this, try to have data-driven decision. Um, then I would say is from an employee perspective, leverage real time experience. You don't have to wait for your annual survey or the annual internal external checks that you do. So I think it's very important to be yourself, to be agile. How is that you can work, whether it is intervention around culture, whether it is intervention around benefit, or anything else. Have a real time mechanism wherein you can get feedback. Now, that would be my response from a tech perspective. Now, from an HR perspective, where I would say is the need of the hour is uh, managing generational diversity, because I think this is probably the first time we are now working with, on an average, four different generations from a diversity perspective. And as we speak, most of the industries, typically who are so much into technology, research says that in the next 4 to 5 years, 30 to 35% of your workforce will be Gen Z. So this is an amazing time wherein you are closely working with four different generations. The need, the ask of this generation will be very different. So focus on managing generational diversity. uh, Second is change management. I think we have never experienced at such aggressive and ambitious pace at which changes that we are experiencing now. It's very
Right.
important that HR leaders, or once you're working in HR, you need to have expertise into change management. Leadership and influence comes to my mind, specific when you're working in a global organization. And then I would say is, diversity and inclusion should continues to be
Right.
critical.
Right. Right. Listening to a lot of these points, I think, these are expectations from HR, like HR leaders should also develop. But at the same time, business also expects a certain agility and a certain real-time impact from HR. How do you see, HR leaders really balance that effectively in the coming year?
The knowledge of business is absolutely critical,
Right.
so that you are able to run shoulder to shoulder and partner with the business. If I, as an HR leader, have a complete grip and complete understanding of the strategy of the organization, where the organization is heading, it of course I can be proactive and be ready with the solutions and how I wish to partner with the business, right?
Right. Yeah.
But on the flip side, if someone doesn't have the requisite knowledge of the business, what is the future strategy that looks like, what is the expansion, how then it's always going to be a very difficult journey. So my 2 cents will be is, while you're creating, we're trying to tackle these needs, you need to probably pause and deep dive and understand your business, have a probably a better control of where the business is heading. You yourself will be able to derive and get the answers to that.
Right, right, right. My last question to you, Joseph, is, we've spoken a lot about what HRs need, what HR leaders and what HR teams at large need to be doing, in 2025 to address business needs, to be agile, to, deliver on employee experience. But how do you think should HR really be structured? So this point is around, the operating models that HR is currently working across. And the report noted that that also is in a state of flux, and a lot of HR leaders and CHROs are rethinking how their entire HR, how their entire HR is structured. Looking at 2025, what are your views on, how are operating models evolving, and what should be the guiding force behind such an evolution?
So again, I think great question. And from a solution perspective, it's easier said than done. But I like the way in which Mastercard is trying to tackle or address some of these challenges. Is one is, we believe in decentralization.
Right,
When you're trying to be agile, it's very difficult to be agile and centralize and keep it everything in one place from that point of view. So it's very important that you decentralize. That's one. Second is, and this applies more to global organization where they have a very wider footprint. have a very firm strategy, like on your location strategy, right?
Right.
So that helps you once you have defined a location strategy as step one. That, and if you want to be agile, then it helps you in terms of taking the next obvious decision, that is on decentralization. Then you should do that. I think once you've step by step, if you address this too, then the third aspect always, of course, comes in, is what is the operating model that you would want to do. Like, do you want to have uh, follow the sun type of a model,
Yeah.
which helps you to be far more agile and take instant decisions? There is no dependency on another location, and that can only be addressed once you have a location strategy in place. Then you build your operating model, and of course, finally, the way you will evaluate is what is the return on investment has been, what is the pace at which the solutions we are giving, and what is the overall internal and external experience, employee or consumer experience has been. To come to again respond in a very chronological order to your question, I would say is is uh, is step one, I make your location strategy. Basis that, to be agile, decentralize if that is making sense. Once you decentralize, then build your operating model. And once you've done that, go back and evaluate and check what is the effectiveness of this operating model.
Right, right. Thank you for that, Joseph. Thank you for your time. I think over this interview, there's a lot of answers that our listeners can really go back to and really pick apart and take different aspects of it home based on their own unique situations and market areas. But thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us today.